In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to create a set of 7 Tee markers, unique set of Tee markers. What I'm going to show you is going to apply identically to all the Tee markers across the board here. I'm going to just pick one and go through the whole process. I think it will make sense. My goal is that under 10 minutes you should be able to complete this process once you're kind of aware what's going on. So the first thing you want to do is go ahead and import the DPR Tee Marker V2 pack. Once you bring it in, you're going to want to go into the prefab folder and you're going to pick whichever style you want here. I'm going to use this one here. This is the cylinder. I'm doing that because I like the pine bark and I want to show you how we do that. And that has a normal map to it, and so it's maybe a little more complicated one. And so if you can do the hard one, you'll be able to do the easy ones. What you're going to want to do is take the cylinder and just drag it into your project. And mine's cylinder 2 because I have these other cylinders here. Yours will come in and just say cylinder. And now what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go to your hierarchy and change the name of this. So right click on it and rename it. And what we're going to do is we're going to call it whatever you want to call it, as far as this could be our championship T. So I'm just going to call it T_champ. And what you're going to want to see is that we're going to create 7 of these when we're done, but we're going to first get the champ done, and that will sort of be our base. And then we're going to duplicate it across, and the only thing we're going to change is the color here. And now obviously you could change all 3 materials as I showed you. Each of these bring in 3 materials, a logo, a color, and a base. But really all we're going to want to do is just change the color top for this, because that's kind of what you would see more on courses. So let's first start by changing this base to the pine bark. So click the word base, and then you're going to find the texture that's the pine bark. And so within the textures folder here, you're going to see the word pine bark BW, and that's the black and white one. There's a color version that you won't be able to change the hue as much. So I'm going to put the pine bark black and white, and you just drag that with left mouse and drop it over top of this first base RGB layer. And now you're going to see that gets dropped in. Now this is a little different. This you could put a normal map down for. So see how I have these normal maps? I have a pine normal, which really just adds a little bit of pop to this here. So drag the pine normal with left mouse and put that in for the normal map. And now you'll see you've got a nice pine bark, and it's blue, so come up to the main color and change the hue to what you would like. I'm going to come down in this sort of orange hue range and stay sort of in the gray orange, and that just kind of gives it a wood texture. Now if you want to know what this is going to look like more in game, what you can do is click on your hierarchy and find the word main camera and left click on that so it's highlighted. Come up here to game object, choose the word align with view, and then click your game tab with left mouse. You're going to see that's what it's more going to look like in game with the lighting. And you see it goes lighter, it's a little brighter in game depending how your scene is set up with the directional light. But typically what I see is the textures in the scene end up brightening up just a little bit. So that's just one way that you can view that. Now let's go ahead and adjust. I want to show you how you can adjust the logo, although we're not going to do it, but you're not going to have a logo at the start, and you're not going to want to use this pirate, I assume. So let's go to the internet and download a logo. I will also have a third video that will show you how to create a transparent logo that you can do as well, but let's just download one off the internet to show you that you don't need Photoshop. So what I did was I typed in the word Shell logo transparent background, and I know they're playing this week at the Houston Open, so I figured this would be fitting. But if you type in the word transparent background, it's usually going to find you a PNG file. You could also type in Shell logo PNG. And what that's going to do for you is find you files that have transparency built into them. And why we need that is because when we bring it in and we drop it over this base layer, then it's going to allow the texture underneath to show through. So let's download this. So I'm going to click the word View Image. I right click on it, Save Picture As. I've messed around with this before. I'm going to save it as the Houston Open. And then I'm going to go ahead and bring it, import it in my project. So come back into the project, and in the project, DPR Tee Markers v2 textures layer or folder, right click, import new asset, and then find the file you just downloaded, and then click the word import. Alright, so now it came in, and I'm going to click on the inspector, and I'm going to choose the word alpha is transparent here. So see how that's black around it? You choose the word alpha is transparent and click the word apply. You're going to see it then goes transparent. So you know this has some built-in transparency to it. Now if we come to the logo layer and we drag the Houston Open over top of it, you're going to see it now changes all these to the Houston Open. Now the downside here, and you're seeing some flickering, don't panic about that. It happens in the scene view, but when you go to the game view, it goes away. It's because this is a transparent texture and there's some clipping involved here, but it doesn't show in game. Now you'll see on the ones that have square textures, this works well. And there's just 2 of these that the square texture doesn't work well. And so you can see this is an ovoid shape. If you wanted to, you can bring this into a photo editing program now. So I could bring this into Photoshop. And if I scaled this down, so I just did transform scale, and I'm going to just change this to 70% on the height and width. And then if I saved it, you'll see when we come back in, it shrinks down. So that would be one instance where you would have to go into a photo editing program. The other thing is if you want this ovoid shape, you can find an ovoid shape. But in the end, unfortunately, just some of these, I wanted to use the whole texture space. And so if somebody wanted to put words here, same goes for this one, where you would just resize it all the way across. If you're savvy, I've also given you the UVs. And what that means is if you click on this cylinder UV and you go into Photoshop, you select this whole thing, so select all, copy it, and come back to this Houston Open and edit and paste this in place. This one you're going to have to skip. This Houston Open's not the right size. Mine's 256 by 256. And then if you pasted it in place, you'll see it's the right size. So now you see how this logo actually fits in there. Let me delete that other one. So you don't have to do this. I'm just showing this for the guys that have some skills, how you could bring in and see exactly how it's going to fit. Because the other thing you can do is then you can you could use your wand here and select around this. And then I'm going select inverse here. And then you could end up adding an outline to this if you wanted to. And then when you come back in, you'll see that. We're just going to call this version 2. And then you'd have to change that. So you can kind of see how you get some different options there. Anyway, once you have your logo, what you want your logo to be, I'm going to put it back to this Houston Open. Now we got to work on just getting all the colors. So now everything's right except for the colors. So I'm going to go to the color, and my Champ Tee I want to be black. All right, so now my Champ Tee is good, and now we have to create the other 7. And to do that, we're going to duplicate this Champ Tee, and so we're just going to pick it, and then you're going to hit Control D. And now I've got, you're going to see here in the hierarchy, Tee Champ 1, and let's rename it. And so this is going to be the turning tee. And then just keep going across. So I'm going to Control D this, so that's 3 T's, Control D, 4 T's, Control D, 5, 6, 7. Okay? Now you got to go back and rename each of these. This is just so you can keep track of what's going on. This is back. This is member. This is forward. Ladies. Challenge. Alright, somehow I have too many, so I'll delete that one. Alright, so now we've got our 7 T's. And what you're going to want to do now is change the color here. So it's being made up by this texture color, and you're going to have to make another one. So you're going to pick the material, sorry I said texture, I meant material. Pick the material color, but this is the color champ. So you can even rename it so you don't get lost here. Just click it once with the left mouse and then one more time with the left mouse. And let's call this color underscore champ. And then I'm going to control D that. And it copies it and makes a new one. And let's rename this color underscore tourney. And then control D. And then do back. Yada yada. So now, in the end, I'm probably just going to do 3 just to show you because you're going to fall asleep on me. But now I've got my color champ tourney. And let's go to the inspector. Got color tourney chosen. And I want to make that green. And now you'll see it's not green yet because it's still the color champ is what's there. So if you left mouse and drag color tourney here, you got to bring it just to the right spot. And now we've changed that one to green. And then we'll do the same here. Let's change the back. Let's make that blue. And then you're going to drag it over. And then what's this one? This one's, I guess I'm going to do them all because I want to show you how I bring them all in to CourseForge, and just so that you know how it all works. Or we could verify that it works. So this is the member. So go pick any of these, Control D, change its name to member. The member we'll just do as white. And then now we're on the forward one. And you can see I'm picking any of the color ones and duplicating. It doesn't really matter which one you pick because you're just changing the diffuse color. The forward can be this like senior tee, maybe a blue-gray. That's an ugly color. And then the ladies. So pick one, Control D. Left click just once. Ladies. Traditionally red. And then the challenge tee. I actually don't put challenge tees in so that they're visible. I honestly don't know how that all works out, but if you want to do a challenge, we'll do it here. I don't know, maybe they're hidden from regular gameplay as well. It's not something I've ever messed around with. And we'll do that as a kind of a gold. Alright, so now I just want to show you, we're going to go over here, and this is a tee setup where I put all those tees out, and we're going to change all the tees that I currently have, and you're going to see. So now you're going to want to go perfect parallel and turn your CourseForge on. You're going to see in your hierarchy, you've got your 7 tees. Now what you're going to want to do is you're going to need to make these into your prefabs as well. So what you're going to do is grab each of these individually with the left mouse and grab, so I'm grabbing T-Champ in the hierarchy and dragging to the prefabs folder. And it's going to make a T-Champ prefab. And we're going to go tourney, left mouse and drag from the hierarchy to the project. I'm doing this for each of the tees. What this is doing is creating a prefab that I'm going to be able to drag into our CourseForge project here panel. Alright, so now I've got all my tees, and these are all my prefabs. You turn CourseForge on, you're going to click this here, and now you're into your CourseForge, and go to the left, the top left here, and click on the P, and then the gear icon here. It says Show Settings. And in that, you see that's where your Tee markers go. And so we're going to just drag all these in. So my Tee champ, left mouse and drag. My Tee tourney. My Tee back. And then we're going to, the only thing you're using this for now I'm going to hit the P again to just make this disappear. But you're only in CourseForge you just want to see how these look and demo them. So if you click on the shovel, it will bring up your tees. So you can see I've placed all the Tee markers down here. So what you'll want to do is maybe go to your first hole and place all 7 of your tees if you're using all 7. When you click on the Tee marker, you'll see this remove marker. Yours will say test Tee marker because you haven't brought it up yet. I had put these in before. And when you click test Tee marker, what it's going to do is drop that down. Now my hole is this way. So this is how it's going to view in game. It's going to view towards the hole. And I've got these all set so that you'll view it. So I've got them in backwards order sort of because the champ would be farther away. But in the end, I think you get the idea. So now if you do remove and test, you see it brings it in, and now it's making a clone of this just so that you can see it. So see these words clone. So if you leave this up and go in game, you'll have 2 sets of tees. So you'll want to just test it to make sure it's black, that's what you want, and then you can remove it before you build your course. If you build your course with them up, you're going to end up with 2 sets of Tee markers. So I'm going to leave it there for now, but just so you know, this is just for demonstration purposes. And remember, you'll just be clicking the word test, and then it will show up. And then before we build, we'll just go remove them all. So you can see they did exactly what we wanted them to do, and you're happy. And that didn't take too long. All right? So hopefully you guys will enjoy this. Now before you build, just go remove them all. That will take care of all those clones so that you don't end up with double sets of tees in game. Just to show you one last thing before we leave here is just on some of the texturing. You're not going to want to use the normal really for anything other than the pine. So say you wanted your base on this one here. Let's go to the base. Go to the inspector and say you didn't want the pine. Let's just go to the smooth wood. So I'm doing the smooth wood black and white. It will still, if you don't take this normal map out, you're going to always get that. So if you click the select here and type in the word none and then pick the word none, that normal map will go away. The other thing is you don't want to waste the material slot. So actually, if you're using a normal map, I would obviously use this bump diffuse, but if you're not, change this shader to legacy diffuse. That way you're just it's less energy on the computer to do that. So in the end, you probably don't need really the normal map for a lot of these. And remember, it's going to be small, so you're not really going to see it. All right, so hopefully you guys enjoyed that and are off producing Tee markers in short order.